Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Fraser Price targets breaking 100 world record in 2022 season. Sprint queen Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce says breaking Florence Griffiths Joyner 33-year-old 100-meter world record is one of her targets for 2022. Joyner's record of 10.49 seconds was set at the United States National Trials in 1988. Speaking on Sportsmax, Fraser-Pryce says the 10.63 seconds she posted at the JOA J3A Olympic Destined Series at the National Stadium in June has given her the encouragement to go after the world record.
Definitely, why not? To me, I think that what I've been able to accomplish this season has raised my eyebrow, has set my heart, my soul, my spirit, my mind, every single facet of who I am on fire to know that, once I put my heart and my mind to something and I work towards it, then I can, I can accomplish it. In life, generally, you're going to have obstacles. You're going to have things that you have to work through to get through, that silver lining. I'm definitely willing to put in that work and just reach for the stars and just hope that on any given day that I go on the track, ready to compete with my heart and, of course, with God as my guide and the strength, if it happens, I'm going to be floored.
Good luck. Good luck.
I will come draw me off for the track. I'm going to be on the track like super excited, screaming, jumping, you name it. But it's good to have a big dream and to chase that big dream.
Payments for some pensioners to be done monthly beginning in January 2022. Beginning January 2022, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security will start to transition pension payments for fortnightly to monthly for National Insurance Scheme pensioners who use the pension order book. This was disclosed by Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Colette Roberts-Whiston, during a recent interview with journalists. She explained that historically, NIS pensioners would get their payment via voucher in pension order books totaling up to 13 vouchers fortnightly over 6 months. However, since the COVID-19 pandemic, they have been allowed to collect 2 or 3 payments in one. The phased implementation beginning in January will be done depending on the payment cycle. There are 6 payment cycles reflected by a letter at the end of the pension number assigned to each pensioner. Pensioners who are to receive their new pension order books in January 2022 will receive the first set of 6 vouchers pension order books. This will continue until June 2022, at which time the NIS pension population paid by this method would have been phased to the 6 voucher pension order book. The Permanent Secretary is assuring pensioners and all NIS beneficiaries that this transition will not change the amount that they will receive annually. Taxi operator gunned down in Clarendon. A taxi operator of Savannah Cross, Clarendon, is the latest victim of gun violence in the Central Parish. The deceased has been identified as 36-year-old Jermaine Patterson, otherwise called Willie, who was shot and killed by unknown assailants in his community last night. Reports from the Mapen police are that about 9 p.m., Patterson was outside a business establishment eating when armed men pounced upon him and demanded the vehicle. It is alleged that Patterson entered the vehicle and attempted to drive away when he was shot in the head. He was assisted to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Couple murdered in Westmoreland. A man and his common-law wife were murdered in Kingswood District in Westmoreland last night. It is reported that about 9:30 p.m., Anthony Calder, 45, and Charlotte Reed, 33, drove up to their home and the man exited the vehicle to open a chain gate to the yard. While doing so, the man was pounced upon by gunmen who opened fire, hitting him multiple times. Reed, who was still inside the vehicle, was also shot. St. Catherine South Police Head urging Gregory Park residents to partner with police on community safety. The St. Catherine South Commanding Officer, Superintendent Christopher Phillips, is urging residents of the Gregory Park community to partner with the police to create a safer community. Superintendent Phillips' call comes as operational activities in Gregory Park area has been intensified in recent days to include the imposition of a curfew, which was extended to Wednesday, December 22nd. Earlier this morning, the police were conducting operations in the Walkers Avenue area where a shotgun along with 6 12-gauge cartridges were recovered near the entrance of an abandoned house. No arrests were made, but the police say investigation continue. Superintendent Phillips says the security force will continue to increase operational activities in the Gregory Park area and other areas across St. Catherine South Police Division. He noted that some activities will be temporarily disrupted during some of the operations carried out by the police. Superintendent Phillips is imploring citizens to cooperate with members of the security forces to restore order to the Gregory Park area and surrounding communities. Political Ombudsman says her office is not set up to punish breaches of political code of conduct. Political Ombudsman Donna Parchment Brown says her office is not aimed at meting out punitive sanctions to those who breach the political code of conduct. She is responding to comments made describing Transport Minister and JLP Chairman Robert Montague as the little boy Montague. Mrs. Parchment Brown says Mr. Golding must understand her recommendations are meant to de-escalate and heal political divisions.
Mr. Golding, the leader of the opposition, and all his supporters and opponents understand that this is a fair and neutral commission of parliament and make recommendations to heal, to correct, and to atone. So this recommendation means that, he'll be doing something concrete. This has happened before, where a recommendation was made really at the suggestion of another politician that he host an event in his constituency for young people based on something he had said, which young people might have been familiar with that particular space. And he held a whole day session with them at his expense, feeding them, hosting them, and doing a workshop. So sometimes there are little novel things you can do that have a very positive impact on your reputation. Well, both the law and the code are premised on consensus. They're premised on the fact that the political parties themselves have agreed that certain conduct is not acceptable and that they have appointed an institution, a commission that reports to the parliament, and placed a political ombudsman there to bring these matters to their attention, to investigate them and make recommendations. So I have no ability to punish anyone, nor do I desire an ability to punish. And one of the things I want to recommend to political parties is that on every platform, they have somebody called a listener, who is listening out for those things that may get them or their party into trouble. That gives them an opportunity to quickly withdraw or change what they're saying on the occasion or as soon as possible thereafter. Because it's a big concern to people that there are 8, 10, 15, 20 people on a platform and something becomes an issue in the public domain, yet to all appearances, none of your team took the opportunity to say, look, that thing is troublesome, let's sort it out, because that's not what we meant or that's not what we stand for.
Golding calls for predatory larcenies to be punished under POCA. Opposition leader Mark Golding is urging the government to subject criminals who commit predatory larceny to the rules of the Proceeds of Crime Act POCA. Golding made the comment in relation to the brutal killing of 2 goat farmers in Grange Hill, Westmoreland last week. The 2 reportedly went missing shortly after leaving their home in Crowder District with over 60 goats to a section of Mint Road in Grange Hill. The bodies of the men were found the following day with gunshot and stab wounds. Their hands were also bound. Approximately 60 goats remain missing. Mr. Golding says predatory larceny should be considered a serious offense.
Well, first of all, predatory larceny needs to be taken far more seriously than it is. And I want to express condolences to the family of those 2 farmers who were murdered near Grange Hill. Predatory larceny is a serious issue in the country. Sometimes it is really organized criminals that are ripping off farmers and sowing what they never reap, and it should be treated as a very serious offense. It should be subject to the POCA rules, where you can take back the proceeds of their crime from them when you catch them. Some of the measures that were introduced to try and ensure that people in the commercial side of it who buy product which has been stolen are held to account for that. There should be serious penalties for buying meat, for example, that has been stolen. There can be procedures put in place to ensure that that can be tracked. So it just needs a much more focused issue. I think the government has totally dropped the ball when it comes to predatory larceny, and the farmers are at the mercy of the thieves, and we need to stop that.
PNP General Secretary defends party's ongoing listening tour amid social media criticism. Dr. Dayton Campbell is defending his party's decision to host what's been described as a listening tour at a time when the country is embracing for a fourth wave of COVID-19. The PNP has been criticized for a series of posts showing crowds of maskless party faithful gathering in Westmoreland. There was little physical distancing. The party's general secretary says there has not been no mobilization of supporters for the events.
And when a leader goes on the road, what happens is that people are going to want to see that person. So when Mark Golding goes on the road, we have not spent $1 mobilizing persons to come out to see him. He's simply going into town centers and other areas where people are naturally. And the people are obviously excited to see him, and they want to express their concerns about what they feel about what is taking place in the country. We have walked with masks. In some of our tours, we've even assigned persons to be handing out the mask. I have over 500 in the trunk of my vehicle as we speak. And we are trying to see how best to get persons to comply to these measures. I can take a shot for you now in Nathan, in Halfway Tree, in Brownstown, in Sam Shop Square, wherever it is. And you will see that these areas are populated without the presence of the PNP, and that majority of the persons, they are not wearing masks. We did not introduce these conditions. There needs to be a proper public health education program to encourage persons to wear their masks. There needs to be more distribution of the masks. There needs to be more free testing for COVID within the country so we can quickly identify and isolate the cases.
Collapsed bridge, a danger to residents in Troy, Manchester.
We're on practically the borderline between Manchester and Trelawney. The bridge is what separates Manchester from Trelawney.
What is the name of the bridge?
I don't exactly know, but it's a very old bridge, and it was built in 1830 something, and it never even have steel in it, so it wasn't really built to carry trucks and cars. It was, in those days, it was horse and buggies. You understand? So the other day it broke down about 3 months ago, right? About 3 months ago now it broke down.
More than 3 months.
More than 3 months, and our biggest concern, you have a lot of people who are hampered by this.
You say it's breakdown. Tell
Yeah.
me what happened to it.
Well, it's just collapsed. A lucky thing no one was on it, right after a big truck passed
Amount of
over.
water.
Yeah, water been
Excess amount
soaking
of water come
underneath
down.
the foundation.
And
So,
they did foot on the bridge out.
and it wasn't built with any steel or nothing like that. You understand? So, I'm mostly concerned about like the people who have to go to work. There's teachers, students. There's 3 schools out there, but I tried primary, basic school, and high school. So the students them are. They are very fearful of crossing. Their parents won't allow them. So, and then you have a lot of people going to the market even early in the morning, and sometimes the river is coming down. You understand? And they still have to cross. Right now, there's only some debris that the river carried down that the people have used for crossover, like a tree branch and some bamboo. It's very dangerous.
That is what people are using to cross.
Yes, bamboo and a little tree branch.
So what happens when the river comes down?
Well, when it comes down, we have to ease back a bit. Those who get trapped in Troy have to sleep over there. And those who want to go there have to stay over here. So.
Are there any other routes to the community?
No. If you want to, the other route is just Mile Gully, which is a lot of ways, a lot of miles. Mile Gully, and then you have to go Craig, and then so it's a big.
Christmas is days away.
Yeah.
How does the breakdown of the bridge? Will it affect the utilization?
Oh yes, it affects us a lot because even when we have funerals and all that, if we want to bury over there, we can. So it's a big problem right now. The taxi services are hampered by this. So a lot of people are finding it a little bit difficult. But we're just praying and hoping that the government will do something as quickly as possible. Because it's like the school season is coming back in, right? So that's one of the main things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any work have started on it since?
We're only hearing rumors that they're probably going to start some temporary bridge in January, but that's just a bag of rumors. We're not seeing nothing, no solid foundation put down or no relevant, real officials come through. Just some, what you call them, MPs and things. We need some men with some money and power. Like even the Prime Minister himself. We're asking him if he could do something for us. Because we don't have to go block the road. We're not threatening nobody.
Who is a member of parliament for the area?
Who's a member of parliament here again? Who's a member of parliament here? It's Mr. Peter Phillips' son. I mean, I'm not a politician, you know. I don't vote for none of them, so I don't know him. But none of them seems to be doing anything solid, you know.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.